This is a crazy laptop. There are a lot of companies out there that make some really impressive gaming laptops, but oftentimes I find them more gimmicky than not. But when they first announced this, I remember thinking that this legitimately looked like something that I would want to test out, and it looked like something that could actually be really useful. So this is the Acer Helios 700, and it has what they call the Hyperdrift keyboard, and it really is what makes this laptop special. This keyboard can shift down, and the purpose of it is twofold. One, it sets it up into a more comfortable typing position, so your hands have this built-in wrist rest for when you're playing games or typing, and it also opens up the performance capabilities of this device. It actually improves it to a significant degree. It actually makes it both fast and furious. Now, when you open and close this keyboard, or like when you shift it up and down, like when you shift it back up, it doesn't make a sound, but when you pull it down, it puts out that techie kind of spaceship sound. You can make it quieter just by lowering the system volume, but it's a sound effect, and they actually put some effort into making it kind of this cohesive experience when you open and close the Hyperdrift keyboard. So does this work? Does this keyboard actually do what it's supposed to do? It does, absolutely it does, but it has some quirks. So I'm gonna focus this video first on the keyboard experience itself. When you use this laptop with the keyboard shifted up, the keyboard positioning isn't super comfortable. It's a relatively thick machine, so your hand is just rested up on this device. There's a pretty big drop at the edge of the laptop. Now, the reason why it's so thick is because it's a super powerful gaming laptop. This has the fastest CPU available on the market. It also has the fastest mobile GPU on the market as well. It's an 8-core 9980. It's overclockable. It can hit 5 gigahertz, and the GPU is an RTX 2080. So you do need something thick to cool it properly, but when your laptop is in this position, it is not the most comfortable typing experience. But when you bring this thing down, it's super comfortable. I would actually consider this to be the most comfortable gaming laptop keyboard that I've ever used. So normally, when you play on any gaming laptop, the edge of the device where you rest your wrist does dig into your wrist a little bit over time. It's not something that's super annoying, but it does happen on basically every single laptop out there, unless you have some kind of third-party wrist rest. This has it built in, and it just makes the whole gaming and or typing experience really nice. The trackpad, however, is not in a good spot when it's shifted down like this. I don't know what it is exactly, like physiologically, but there's just a weird angle that the trackpad is now at. It's not a particularly comfortable position. Okay, the keys also have backlighting. They're all individually lit, so if you want to go into the software and customize it like crazy, you can. There's also macro keys if you're into that. But the WASD keys also have an alternative set of keycaps that they include. And these actually remind me of the keycaps in that $9,000 curved screen gaming laptop that Acer also made like several years ago. They don't only serve as an aesthetic change, they obviously look different, but they also have a different mechanism in terms of how they spring back up. The keys that are built into the keyboard, like the default ones, those use a rubber dome to spring it up and down. These use a metal spring, and they actually feel a little bit different when they're installed. It's a little bit more responsive, and the keys are slightly higher than the stock keycaps, but the typing experience on the whole is really good. I think most people will enjoy this keyboard quite readily. Now, the other thing that this shifting keyboard does, this whole hyperdrift mechanism, is that it opens up the airflow for the internals. Now, when you slide this thing down, you can see a cool window into the heat pipes, but you also have these two fans on the left and right that are very powerful and push a ridiculous amount of air through the system. It's a little weird to see this kind of airflow on a gaming laptop, but remember, they're cooling something that's very powerful, very hot, and by shifting the keyboard down like this and opening up the air flow, like the air pathway, it allows it to cool it very effectively. These fans, however, when you put it on turbo, are super loud. I'm just gonna hit it real quick. It's loud. Now, you don't have to run turbo when it's opened up like this. You can run it on default mode, and it's not super loud even when you're playing games on default mode. But if you turbo it, it's super loud, it pushes a crazy amount of air, but you get some crazy performance that you just cannot get on a laptop otherwise. Both the CPU and the GPU are overclockable in software, and when you do, like when you crank everything up to the max and you let the fans rip, this thing has very similar performance to a desktop running an RTX 2080. It's just a really, really powerful system. Now, if you want to run this device in turbo mode for the best possible performance, then if you're playing games, I highly recommend getting headphones to plug in because the fans are so loud, like you gotta crank everything to be able to hear on top of these fans. Now for the rest of the review, I'll be doing it over these fans just so you kind of get a vibe of... I'm kidding. Okay, the screen, it's a 17-inch panel. I do wish they had gone with a bigger panel. Like there's space on the bottom and sides for a larger panel. The bezels are quite large on this device. The panel itself is good. It's a high-end gaming panel, 144 Hertz, bright, color accurate. There's nothing I really have to complain about the actual image quality. It's just that the bezels are thick. There's a good number of ports around this device. It does not have an SD card slot, but basically everything else. The battery life is short. I mean, you expect it to be short on a device like this. It's around a 2-hour battery, and the AC adapter is pretty large. Now, the speakers, they're located on the front. There's actually 2 on the front and 2 right below the screen. It's a really nice sound system, but keep in mind that regardless of how nice the speakers are, if you have turbo mode enabled, it's not going to happen. You need headphones for that. The internals are also easy to get into. You get access to the 2 RAM slots, the 2 NVMe drives, and if you go a little bit deeper, you get access to the 2.5-inch SATA, as well as the Wi-Fi card. Now, my overall thoughts on this machine. There are, like I said in the beginning of the video, a lot of companies that make gimmicky stuff in the gaming laptop industry. This does not feel like that to me. It's a big machine, it's very powerful, but it actually feels like legitimately useful for certain users. If you're someone who values high CPU clock speed and you just want all 8 cores running at full bore, this is one of the machines that can do it. And the Hyperdrift keyboard, it's unique, right? This is the only device in the world with that type of keyboard right now. I do think that maybe Acer can transition this tech into smaller devices. It is pretty cool. I feel like because the keyboard brings something new that other people don't have, it's really difficult to compare this to other devices like one-to-one like that. The keyboard is super comfortable. The performance is really good, and because of that, I would consider this a winner. And I do remember someone really wise said, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning is winning. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. See you guys next time.